As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody. For whoever wants to listen, I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined remotely by El Shooter Magooter. What's up, dude?
A little remote record session. It's officially, it's the end of August, but it's officially vacation season because you're down the shore. We're recording here. I'm on vacation for the next week, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
What are
I
you
took
gonna do
off
with your vacay?
I actually kind of forgot that I even had it. It's funny because I was talking about this today with somebody at work. I hated the things that were going on at work with them wanting us in the office, so I just looked at my PTO and I'm like, oh my God, I've got so much time accrued because I never take time off. So I took a strategic end of the month and then right into Labor Day. But I also forgot that I took off Friday. I don't know why I threw that in there. Just kind of fun, just like starts the weekend off right. So yeah, I'm out of the office for like 11 days. So you're gonna get a
You're off
happy.
tomorrow.
I'm off tomorrow, and I will not be back in until after Labor Day. So you're gonna get a happy shooter for like 11, 12 days, and then you might get a miserable shooter that start of September. But it's fine.
Can I
It's
be
gonna be great.
honest with you?
What?
I'm kind of looking forward to miserable September shooter because I think he's going to be great for the podcast.
He's gonna be great for the podcast, but honestly, you'll get it for a week because then football season starts anyway. So it really doesn't matter.
God, I know.
Like
I can't
it's
wait.
gonna be the perfect storm.
It is. That's it. You timed it up well. You'll have like 1 or 2 miserable days of like reality setting in, and then it's bird season, and nothing else matters during the bird season. So
No, truly nothing else. But yeah, I'll get some golf and some beach time in, so you know how it goes.
love that. Well, I'm down the shore, right? As you can tell by the aesthetic in the room, I am down the shore.
The wave. I love the wave crashing. What is that? A lighthouse?
Yeah, yeah. You know
That's
you're down the
classic.
shore when you've got a lighthouse. If I flip the camera around, there's like 3 more lighthouses. There's just an oar on the wall. There's 2 fake fish.
Yep.
Standard shore rental home.
We talked about this. I think it was during Jersey. And Jen and Bill had bought their new house and they didn't take any of the decor down. So we talked about, I think we went into great
yeah.
detail about how pretty much every Jersey Shore house is decorated the exact same way. And they all have the same paintings and all the same like random oars, as you said, putting like random on the wall.
I would love to know, I would love the idea or premise of Jesus Christ, of the fact, like, if there's just one person or company that just does all the interior designing for all the shore points, like everybody knows it. It's like, oh yeah, that's Tommy and Sue. Tommy and Sue do all the houses down the shore.
And they are billionaires, multi-billionaires.
Multi-billionaires, and they just have an entire showroom full of oars, pictures of lighthouses, and miscellaneous fish. But
All about it.
we could do this all day, but let's get into it.
I actually forgot that we were recording the podcast. I thought we were just talking. So,
like our pre-show when we just shoot the shit for a while.
sometimes we do that. Yeah, it's always funny. Like when we do the remote ones, we talked about this before. For whatever reason, we're way more on point for remote sessions where we don't like drag and we don't like get hung up on things or have to cut things out because we went down a tangent that makes no sense. And we don't really cut that much. I mean, we're breaking the fourth wall here. We really don't cut that much to begin with. But for whatever reason, once the lights turn on for the remote sessions, we're just there.
Yeah, all the lights that turn on for the remote session. But anyway, let's get on
Figurative lights.
Figurative lights. Let's get into Rose and Thorn. I feel like we've covered the news for the week. It was mainly the Bethany Frankel stuff. If you want to hear it, go back and listen to our episodes regarding that. I can't talk about her anymore because I'm sure some more shit's gonna pop off. We're gonna have to discuss it again. There's no way it's over, but I would like to just move on and get into
fair.
Rose and
I think
Thorn.
that's fair.
So why don't you?
We're not really moving on because the Roses and Thorns are pretty much all about the Bethany thing anyway.
That's a good point. So let's get it out of the way, and then we can start
There we
talking about other shows. So why don't you get us started there, pal?
Fair enough. So I'm going to start off with my Rose. My Rose. There was a lot to choose from. A lot of people were feeling the love this week, thanks to the episode that you dropped last week about your sobriety.
Yeah,
So
cool.
it's obviously I could throw a rose out there and just say thanks everybody for supporting my friend Steele. That's really nice. That's really
nice.
cute. Isn't that nice? Okay.
You're so cute.
Aw. No, I'm gonna throw my rose out there. It was a review that we got on Apple from Sally with a couple of numbers after her name. She's a day one listener, and we always love to hear from the day one listeners because I can't imagine being a day one listener to the show and getting to the point of like now a year later and seeing obviously like how many more people are commenting and how many more people are kind of leaving reviews. It would probably infuriate me because I'd be like, no, this is my show.
These are my guys.
These guys. These are my guys. You
look, you're a brav bro G. We know who you are, and we appreciate it. Don't worry, you're in a different tier. We understand.
Yeah. So Sally said that I've been listening to the Bra Bros since the beginning. I've laughed along and enjoyed listening to you guys, and then goes into thanking you for dropping that episode last week, which, like I said, all the roses this week, it's really tough to not see a little snippet about last week and how much they supported it. So, I mean, it's still really cool, obviously. So that's great. And we always love the day ones. The roses, a lot to choose, or the thorns rather, a lot to choose from the thorns this week. I sincerely cannot wrap my head around these people that are supporting Raquel. Like the Bethany thing, like it's funny. I if you're listening now, I know I got a lot of heat for last week. I was truly just trying to support the other side just to see, and I actually kind of came out supporting Bethany for some reason. But it was fun to just kind of poke the bear with steel. And I saw a couple of comments in there that were talking about how, a true friend wouldn't really poke the bear like that. He really wouldn't try to get you riled up. Like, first off, fuck you. You have no idea what our dynamic is with our friendship. We've been friends for almost 20 years. You can go to hell. Just because you don't like to have fun with your friends and you guys just sit around talking about politics or whatever the fuck you're doing. I don't know. Loser friends, bunch of weirdos. You just don't have fun.
You're going after their whole friend group.
Yeah, the whole friend group, bunch of losers. Anyway, we get a comment on TikTok referring to the Bethany and Raquel interview. And this one said, how can you guys sit there and annihilate her and say, yeah, Tom was bad, but in an absolute disgrace, you guys are actually misogynists.
Oh, wow. I saw this one. Today.
Yeah, I don't really understand. Like, we did say that, and we did say, I feel like the focal point of the interview was, okay, here's what we're presented with. Raquel's the one talking, so we're going to spend 95% of the time talking about Raquel. But even within that 95%, we were still alluding to the fact that Tom's getting off easy and we need to go after Tom more. So that clearly just shows that you didn't listen to the whole fucking podcast. You listened to one little snippet, and in that snippet, I said, yeah, Tom was bad, but there's another side to this, and it's Raquel. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's two sides to this. They're both terrible. We're focusing on the Raquel side of it. Get over yourself.
Not to mention,
lovely.
When this shit all came out, like he did the Howie interview, right? Yeah. We talked about the Howie interview ad nauseum. We went
ripped
after
him apart.
Him. Yeah, we tore him a new asshole. So this was the Rachel and Bethany interview. So we talked about it. That's my whole thing with everyone that commented on that. We know the people that said, like, you guys are doing the same thing. Like, you're just trying to follow suit with Bethany. You're trying to get clicks, blah, blah, blah. Our job is to talk about the current events with reality TV. It's what we're paid to do. It's why we started this as a hobby, because we love to talk about it. It was the #1 podcast in the world, across Earth. So of course we have to comment on it. We have to talk about it. We don't have a choice. There's no options. We don't want to talk about Bethany anymore. We don't like Bethany. It's not fun.
No,
we have to comment.
We're done with it. So, yes, we have to comment on it. But also the other people that talk about how we just try to do things for clicks. We have never once tried to do anything for clicks. What we do here and how we talk and the way that we talk and pretty much all of our opinions are directly in line with what you're going to get from me if you saw me out at a bar talking about the Eagles.
This is how we talk to each other.
Fucking anything. Talking about movies. Like, this is everything that you're going to get is the same way. There is in this industry a lot of podcasts that think, wow, we're just going to lean into like the toxic side of it. We're going to, with Jersey specifically, we're going to support Teresa because we know that a lot of people are going to come after us. We're going to support Melissa because a lot of people are going to come after us. And I get it. Like, I understand that's how this world operates. Like, yes, you're going to get more clicks, but what you're getting from us is authenticity. This is actually who we are. So yeah, so get over
it. I love that. Love that. I'm going with my Thorn first. And I could do one. And I think that this person woke up this morning and realized that they maybe had too much to drink last night and deleted all of their comments from last night. And I'm not going to give it much more air than that.
Was it Shannon Bedore?
No, it was somebody commenting on my sobriety video, and I was waiting for somebody. I was waiting for it, and somebody finally did. And it was along the lines of like, this dude hasn't been sober for 5 years. He's been podcast famous for a year and a half, and goes on to like try to tear me down that I'm not actually like that. My story was embellished or a lie or something along those lines. I'm not going to give it the time of day. That would be the easy Thorn. My actual Thorn is this. This one's really funny, and I couldn't find it on TikTok because we got so many comments on TikTok from the Bethany stuff. But somebody commented, and to your point, what you were saying earlier, for people that didn't understand what Shooter's goal was with the first Bethany podcast, the minute he opened his stupid mouth, I knew what he was doing. He was trying to gaslight me to get a rise out of me. That's the stance he took. And he did. And it's funny. And I think it's hilarious. And he knows it gets a rise out of me. You, our audience, for whatever weird reason, you like when I go on rants and you like when I lose years off of my life from stress. So that's what he was doing. And I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a funny approach. And I thought it produced a really good episode. Now, somebody on TikTok commented, they called you like Shooty McPooper, Poopy Pants or something like that.
Poopy McPooper Pants.
Yeah. And they were saying that you're a closet narcissist and that nobody should want a friend whose goal is to stress you out and get you amped up and riled up. That doesn't sound like a real friend. And to which I commented, and by the way, after that, they wrote hashtag Team Steel. This is somebody in support of me heavily. And because I am who I am, I'm like, hey, you don't say that about my friend. Only I say that about my friend.
How am I closet narcissist in this whole thing, though? That's the worst part. Like, was I talking about myself at all? No, I was just poking the bear and having some fun.
Yeah. Well, she went on to comment like 5 more times explaining why you were a shitty friend and why I should not be friends with you. I defended you the entire time because I love you. But let me tell you, I got my eye on you, pal. Now that somebody pointed out that you're a closet narcissist.
Oh, yeah. Keep an eye out.
My rose is this, and this might be an all-time. This is a top 3 rose for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could take the easy route, like you said. There was let me do an all-encompassing rose first for everybody that reached out with their own stories, with words of encouragement, with just support for me sharing my story and how it resonated with you. There's a lot of people that have not gone through addiction that still, they said that something in my story hit home for them. It was an amazing week of emails and messages. And if I haven't gotten to yours yet and you reached out, I promise you I'm going to get to it. I'm trying to answer everybody. I was hit with a flood of amazing messages. So if you haven't heard back, I promise you I'll get there. I'm trying to answer everybody. You took the time to reach out to me after my story. I'm trying to do the same. So just hang tight. I'll get to you. I promise. But that's my all-encompassing rose. My actual rose, my top 3 of all time. Okay, and this comes from Diana Nicole. The title of the review is Said I'd Unfollow. And this is the review, which I did, but I'm still listening. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I don't want to support you, but I still am supporting you. You don't have my follow, but you have my ears. That's what I got.
I think we may have talked about this last week. I don't know. We have done a lot of episodes.
And you reminded me that we're not doing Rose and Thorn because it's our midweek episode. And I sent you a screenshot of that and said, thanks, ? I don't know what your approach there is, Diana Nicole. Said I'd unfollow, which I did. Still listening. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't understand you.
Maybe she unfollowed us on socials and didn't want to see the things that we were talking about anymore, but likes to hear us.
I don't know.
Maybe we're radio voices and we know we have good radio voices. Maybe we have really good radio voices and she just doesn't care for the scenery.
She's not actually listening to the content. She just wants to hear the voices.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's like it was a very confusing review.
I'm confused. You're confused.
All-time Rose. So thank you, Diana Nicole, for not following, but still listening. But let's move right into Atlanta. And we didn't do Atlanta last week because of the Bethany stuff, but this week it was centered around Sheree's Sip and See. It was a party for Mecca, her glam daughter, because she's a glam.
Does that extend to Mecca, like as a glam daughter? I think it's just glam
daughter. No, she said glam daughter.
Oh, she did?
at
Okay.
one point.
All right.
Yeah,
All
that's
right. I
the only
didn't catch
reason I
that.
said it. Yeah, because
Damn.
I
All
don't think
right.
Glam Daughter flows as well as Glamma.
It
But
doesn't.
we start the episode out. Kenya's talking to Cynthia, and this is just a quick one-liner because Cynthia is divorced officially, and she says that she has been married and divorced before Kenya could even finalize her divorce. I don't understand what's taking so long. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think that we need to dive into that more as a community.
Just
I don't
yeah,
get
we
it.
need more information on that one.
We do. The next scene quickly is just Sharon and Marlo. Sharon is Marlo's therapist, and they're discussing. And the only reason I want to highlight this, I feel like Marlo gets a lot of shit from me as well. But when it comes to her kids and when it comes to what she does for foster children, she's a stand-up lady. Like, I like that she takes the time to talk to her therapist about bringing Scotty around and not just bringing him into the fold. Like,
Yep.
she actually takes the time. She's never been a mother before these two teenage boys were dropped onto her doorstep because of her sister. But she actually does the work to be a good mother and not just wing it and not just be like, oh, I'm going to bring my boyfriend around. Like, that's props. She gets props.
That's what every scene that we get with Marlo, when it's in a individual setting or when she's with her family, I truly like her. I truly feel that she's a good person. I feel like she's trying hard. And then when you throw her around the other women, it's like, what are you doing? Like what?
Yeah, I know.
And she's so unapologetic in the moment. And obviously, the next day maybe she talks to her life coach, or therapist, or whatever, and then she kind of rescinds some of the things that she says. I mean, look, I don't know what she is, and we have this discussion a lot with the women on these shows. Like, are they actually friends? Are they actually that close? And obviously, some of them are. I don't think Marlo is really friends with anyone. Like maybe Sheree, like a little bit here or
Maybe.
there, and maybe
I
getting
think
a
they're
little
more
closer to
comfortable with each
Courtney.
other.
Yeah, and that's really it. Because every indication that we get of Marlo is she's trying to do what's right in her life by her family and those closest to her. And as you grow older, you do what's right by your family and those closest to you. And that's pretty much it. You don't really care about the auxiliary people. And I think that's kind of the vibe that we get. And I like Marlo a lot. I think that she's great. I think she brings a lot to the show, especially. And that's more kind of what I want to see from her. I want to see those moments. And maybe I'd like to see her warm up to a couple of the people on the show, maybe have a couple of real moments with them instead of just like poking the bear and fighting with them all the time. I think maybe other people would come around to her. I just wish that people would see more of this Marlo.
Yeah, not just behind closed doors with one-on-ones. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yep.
But from there we get Sonia and Ross, and it turns out that Sonia is pregnant. Now, and this is also alluding to scenes from next week that we get at the end of the episode, but she brings Deuce with her, and Deuce is a 5-year-old, and she is only 5 weeks pregnant, we come to find out. And I'm not here to tell any mother what to do. I'm not here to tell any mother how to announce their pregnancy. As a father, in that moment, I'm like, ooh, it's just a little early. There's a lot that can happen in early term pregnancy. There's a lot of question marks. It's usually like the general rule of thumb there is after the first trimester is when you tell people. So like 90 days in. That's kind of the safe rule, because after the first trimester, things tend to get a little bit less questionable. There's not, it doesn't mean that something can't happen. It just means you've gotten through like the first hurdle.
This, so you're giving me some information.
There you go. So that's the general rule, is wait till after the first trimester. Then it's safe to kind of tell everybody. Most people will tell family members like after the first 6 weeks, but like the general public usually finds out after the first trimester.
Okay.
As far as telling your 5-year-old, I don't know. That just seems like,
well, she harder. She already told him, because she already had the whole moment with her family coming over, and then her and Ross did the whole, this was in the last episode, her and Ross did the whole shirt reveal where it said we're pregnant, even though it was backwards. She told the entire group of friends. Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. Maybe don't tell the 5-year-old, because everybody else is going to understand, like, all right, if there is complications and something happens, they get it. They understand. They're adults. They've been through it. They've been around people that have also been through it. So yeah, no, I fully understand that. I mean, look, she told him last week, so what's the harm in kind of making it a little bit more real and bringing him to the ultrasounds?
No, I agree with that, but it just like you see
I get it. Yeah,
the doctor's reaction too was like, "What? This isn't a pediatrician's office." And the next one was like, "How old is Deuce? Like, what are we doing here?" And I don't know. And again, I'm sure that Sonia was so excited, and I'm not faulting her by any means. That's not what I'm trying to do. It was an interesting scene for me. But
okay, fair enough.
Moving on, we get to and we'll talk about the pass. I might just like lump it all in together because we go back to the movie shoot multiple times throughout this
Yeah,
whole
that's
episode.
fine.
It's
Yeah,
like,
just keep all the movie shoot stuff together.
so we'll get to the pass in a little bit. I want to talk about Kandi brings up Courtney again, and I'm so confused about this whole thing. I don't understand. Courtney did not call Drew a bitch.
No,
Courtney pointed at Sonya and said, "This bitch."
yeah,
I don't get one. These women say much worse things about each other frequently. Bitch is not that big of a deal. Why are we still dragging this out? Why is it so important for Drew to differentiate between Courtney and my cousin Courtney? Like, she hasn't slighted you that hard, and she didn't even call you.
no. Honestly, I feel like the biggest perpetrator from that whole night that we got to see was Kandi. Like, she's the one who didn't back down from the whole "you made out with her" thing. Like,
Because she didn't want to be called a liar.
yeah, and and that's entirely fine because that's directly within Candy's character. That's exactly who she is. But I think that I look, I mean, I think that we're alluding to more of the I don't know where I am with Ralph, and we get a scene with Ralph later where it's a lot more uncomfortable with her in the trailer.
Oh,
And
you
maybe
think
she's kind
her
of
opinion on Courtney is a reflection of how she is with
yes,
Ralph? Oh, interesting.
1000%. Yeah, because she focused a lot on Candy, and then all of a sudden, something that seems innocuous, where it's Courtney talking, and I guess it's the video that Manetta took, not the one that Marlo took, although it doesn't really matter. And yeah, I agree. She clearly, very clearly points at Sonya and says, "This bitch over here," which we've heard before. And Marlo even said, like last week or the week before, "Man, I say bitch every 5 minutes when I'm talking about anybody. I just say this bitch over here, this bitch over there." Like that's just kind of how I talk. I think there's more focus being put on the fact that Courtney immediately afterwards says that I don't say bitch. I've never said that before. It just you do, just say that you do.
Which
And
is
I don't
fine.
think that it would be just be like, yeah, I was talking about this bitch over here, Sonya, not this bitch over here, or not this bitch over here, Drew, or whatever. It just seems stupid. And I think that Drew is now over it, or maybe Drew has realized that she doesn't want to burn Kandi. She doesn't want to burn Kenya because those are her friends. She doesn't want to burn Manetta. So she's just kind of like taking the lowest hanging fruit, which you're not going to get anywhere with Marlo. Marlo doesn't give a shit, and she's going after Courtney byproduct of how she feels with Ralph. I think that's kind
Okay.
of what I'm reading into it.
I like that. I can get on board with that. Moving on. This is when I want to jump in. I wanted to talk about that first. Now let's lump all of the past scenes together.
Mhm.
So the first one that we get is they're discussing the sex scene. And as they're discussing the sex scene, I think it's interesting that every time that Drew talks about it, she has to emphasize over and over and over again that she's not attracted to women. Like, you can't
Yeah,
say
it's
it
almost like an
enough.
overcorrection.
Yeah,
I feel the
we
same
get
way.
it. We get it. You don't want people to think you hooked up with Latoya, so you're going to keep
Yeah,
hammering it home that you're not into ladies. We got it, Drew, but
and we
you're
get
not
more
doing
out of
yourself any
that.
favors.
I feel like we get a little bit more out of that when she's doubling down in the sense that she's talking about it before the scene when she's sitting around with Candy and Todd, and then Manetta comes in and she's pretty much just telling everybody, like, yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time, like I'm not attracted to women. And then we get the confessional, which happens weeks later, and she's still doubling down on that. Like, I'm gonna have a
I
really
know.
hard time getting into this scene because I'm not attracted to women. Okay. In the same breath, you're saying, I don't really want to do something like this ever again. Lifetime or higher for me. That's the only
Lifetime or
thing I want to
higher.
do, which is so funny.
And what a
Whatever. I
weird
don't
dig to
care.
take
Her
at
and Heather
Candy and
Dubrow.
Todd.
Yeah,
Like, what the
exactly.
fuck?
Like, this is the whole thing. This is exactly what fucking happened with Heather Dubrow. Just be grateful that you were given a chance. You haven't really done anything. Get your feet wet, have some fun, see what happens, get a
Don't
paycheck. You're
shit
getting
on the
fucking
people
paid,
that are
and
paying
don't
you.
shit for it. Yeah, maybe
Don't
behind
shit for
closed
it.
doors, don't shit for it. Behind closed doors, if you want to talk to Ralph or you want to talk to somebody in your family and be like, yeah, this is kind of beneath me, but you know what am I going to do? Whatever. Don't do it on the show. Everybody's going to see
No.
it. That's so
And you're
stupid. It's
talking
such a
to
dumb
Danny,
move. Yeah, and
who's in there like reading lines with you. And I fucking hate Ralph. I hate him so much. And he comes in, first of all, when he walks into that trailer, he doesn't look good. You look like shit. The sweater's too small. It's way too small for you. And since you body shamed this poor man who's reading lines with your wife, you walk in and go, "Can you squeeze out of there, buddy?" Like, what a dick move. Like,
yeah,
leave that poor
just
man alone.
completely uncalled for. And I think that's just who Ralph is. I don't think that that's like any sort of aggravation from his marriage going
No,
out and
I
like
think that he
deflecting to other
walked
people. I
in.
think he's just an asshole.
No, see what I think? I think he walked in and saw another man in the trailer with Drew and had to be like put him down in front of her. Be like, okay, let me get this guy out of here. Can you squeeze out of there, big fella? Like, dude, fuck you. By the
What would
way,
he have
you
done if
walk
there was
in,
another woman in there? You guys
probably
making
said,
out?
I want to watch because that's all he talked about in that scene. It was
I
crazy to
could
me.
not tell if he wanted to, if he was like getting off on the idea of Drew doing it, or if he was
Both.
digging deeper because he was like, oh yeah, what are you, a lesbian? Like, what's going on here? I hear what's going on with Latoya. Like, this is all, and this seems to be the whole crux, at least for the scenes that we get for the rest of the season. That seems to be the whole crux of their marriage falling apart, at least from Ralph's eyes, is you hooked up with Latoya. Like, I think you like women. So I couldn't tell if he was getting off on the fact that this was going on, or which I think is fine, by the way. Like if you're like enjoying that and you're like, oh, that's kind of hot. I really like that. Good, great, awesome. But if you're trying to put her down in the same sentence, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's kind of
No, it
weird.
comes off weird and she gets uncomfortable. And
Yeah, which
understandably
is
so. Like, you are her
absolutely.
husband and you just made her uncomfortable, you idiot. And by the way, you haven't asked her about the movie once. Then you find out that there's a woman going down on her. And now you're like, oh, wait, what's up? Like, that's
Yeah,
fucking gross. Like, you're
yeah,
her husband and you still come off gross. Nice job. And
yeah.
again, you look like shit, buddy. You have a beer gut in that sweater. You don't look healthy. You don't look like you're in shape. You're puffy, bloated, and you look like ass. You're gonna fucking make fun of my guy Danny who was reading lines of being sweet to your wife. Get the fuck
Yep.
out of here, Ralph. I hope he trips out of the trailer and knocks his front teeth out. But let's move on. We get to the party, and this is for Mecca. Sheree says, but we all know it's for Sheree. It's so that she can show off,
Yeah.
which is fine. And but she does, like, she goes all out. I would imagine that party had to cost at least 25 grand.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell even when Kenya walks in and she says those balloons alone are a couple $1,000s. You're spending
Yeah.
a couple grand on balloons, and then there's also like actual flower arrangements, like that throne of flowers that she walked out to was wild. That's
Oh,
another
I
couple.
know.
And like between that and not even including food and bev, shout out Craig.
Food and bev,
There's a
Craig.
lot going out there. There's a lot of money going out there. And are you setting a precedence for the next grandchild, or is this just like this is
I
my
think this
first
is
one?
the first one.
Yeah,
First one, show out.
I don't really have a problem with it. I don't care.
I
That's fine.
didn't have a problem with it. I liked it. It was just like, it was a funny premise. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's my sip and see party. Come see my granddaughter. And boom, look at all this shit. But
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the stuff that happened at the party. I want to talk about Bob first. So Bob is Sheree's ex.
Yep.
And they have 2 children together.
Together, they have 2 children. Yes.
He has 2 children not with her that she is aware of. He shows up with a younger woman and nobody knows if it's his daughter or his girlfriend. Sheree, who is married and has children with this man, comes to find out that she's at least 25,
At
if
least.
not 30. Like, there's
Yeah.
no telling how old this woman is. She goes up and says, "Oh, I'm Bob's daughter." And I was floored. Like, how do
It was such a
you just
such a random twist. Like and obviously not knowing the rest of their family members when they're showing the picture. I'm like, which one are they talking about? Like, is it him? And then they're like, no, she's standing right in front of him. I'm like, okay, thank you for that little intel. And yeah, when we came to find that out, I'm like, what is going on? Like, how
that's
does
crazy.
she introduced herself to Sheree as Bob's daughter? It's like, wait, what?
Well, I'm
Like,
Bob's ex-wife. Never heard of you. Nice to
n-
meet you. And then when
yeah.
Bob is questioned, he goes, "Here's your stepmommy, Sheree." It's like, no, you owe her an explanation, sir. I don't care how much of a piece of shit you were, and Dev filled me in on their past, and he's not a great dude.
No.
But in that moment, you're at her party. Explain to her, and I do like that. His third daughter was like, "Yeah, I've been hanging out with your kids. Like, they know me. They've been so nice to me. They've been nothing but nice. Like, that is great, great. Not my place to say, Bob. You got some explaining to do, buddy. Like, that's not. It's just not cool,
No,
especially at her
it's
party."
not. Yeah, and even when she starts talking, she's like, "Yeah, I've been really thankful to be hanging out with Bob's other daughters." There's gotta be some sort of, like, crossover where maybe one of Sheree's, like, kids that she actually talks to knew about it
Yeah,
and
why is no one telling her?
just decided not to tell her. You know what?
That's a good point.
We're not gonna open Pandora's box on this one. Let's just leave it. What are the chances that she ever sees her anyway? Who cares? And then
Oops.
you have this whole big party and she shows up at your house. That's a big twist for everybody involved. Like, we're gonna act like we had no idea what was going on.
It's just that was crazy.
That
But
was
the next
awesome.
thing
Yeah,
I
it
want
was
to talk
crazy.
about is Kenya and Martell finally have a conversation after we saw them get into it at a party. That was like episode 2, I think. That was way back.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also, before that, Kenya shows up to this party and gets out of the car. and the woman taking names for who's, I guess it's a list, like invite only party. I don't know. But she pulls out the clipboard and says, "And what's your name?" to Kenya. And Kenya goes, "Kenya Moore, you should know that." No, you're not that famous. You're not that famous in which people just know who you, unless you are a Bravo fan or a Dancing with the Stars fan, nobody knows who you are. And
Yep.
I don't get why she walks around like she is the biggest celebrity on earth.
But,
Why
like,
should that woman know who you are?
the poor woman just trying to do her job. Like,
Right.
who cares?
And then you have like an off-putting laugh as you walk away. You should know who I am. Ha 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 ha. No, that's rude. You're rude. She doesn't. She's doing her job, Kenya. She is doing her job, and you just belittled her.
Yep.
I hate it. I can't stand it. But the Kenya and Martell discussion sucks because Martell at least apologizes. And yeah, he was out of line when that all went down. He got way too
way too
loud.
aggro. Yeah.
Yeah, it would just he shouldn't have came at it like that. I understand he was defending himself and Kenya tried to drag him. And also Kenya had selective word choice. She said he DM'd me at least 6 months ago. It turns out to be 2+ years. Massive difference. So do I understand why he got amped up? Totally. 100%. Do I understand him apologizing for it? 100. Totally percent. Like totally get it. 100 totally percent. Good job.
100 totally.
Totally percent. But Kenya doesn't apologize once. She actually explains why, like, you came in hot. I had nobody in my corner to like match your energy, so I had to match your energy.
That's like
That's
my
not an
least
apology.
favorite approach ever in these shows is the explanation instead of just apologizing, especially when
know.
it's like we're in episode fucking 16. That happened in episode
15.
2. Like, it's been months. We're still talking about, like, yes, you guys haven't seen each other since then. Here's a good chance to squash it. Okay, squash it. Just apologize. Nobody cares anymore. But that's Kenya. Kenya, of course, as we saw when she walked in, everybody has to know who I am. So she's not going to bow down to Martell in this situation
And she didn't.
and just say, look, like, yeah, I was out of line. I had my facts wrong. I don't really know. If she just started off by saying the way that she started it off, I'm always going to have Sheree's back. I want to make sure that she's protected, but I'm happy that you guys are happy. That's how you do it. Happy that you guys are happy. Really sorry. Okay, move on. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, done. Awesome.
That's it.
Great. Just
That's
move on. But instead, she just takes the route of explaining away and explaining why she was like that. If you're going to do that, then maybe also lend a helping hand to Martell and say, I also understand where you were coming from because you were blindsided by that. So I get it. It was a miscommunication. Boom, done. You want to do that too? Great.
Yeah.
Just all over the place. Instead, it's like, no, this is why I was feeling this way. And then Martell has to awkwardly apologize for his part in it, which he should.
Yeah. At
And
the end of it,
then
she gives one of those stupid apologies that's like, if
Yeah.
you were offended, I'm sorry. It's like, no, that's not an apology. That's
no,
like,
she'll just never take responsibility for her shitty actions.
it's annoying. But the last thing is Drew shows up to the party and there is a man inside who allegedly assaulted her. We didn't know that. And she refuses to come into the party. We get the lowdown. They were at a bar or a club and she was dancing and had her shoes off. And this guy picked up a shoe and threw it at her. He claims that she threw her cheap ass bag at him first. But to Kandi's point in this scene, Kandi said, I'm going to side with the person that's not trying to start shit. And this man's clearly trying to start some shit. And he is. Like the way the word choice he's using, how he's going about it, he immediately gets intense. He's immediately talking shit about, oh, yeah, like she's cheap, her cheap ass bag, making fun of her, talking shit about her. Instead of just saying, this is what happened in the situation, he immediately goes to name calling and putting her down.
Yep.
I'm going to take the side of Drew as well. You're trying to
Absolutely.
be the aggressor here. And you are the one that allegedly threw the shoe. We don't hear about the handbag. I heard
Who
about the
throws
shoe.
a shoe? Honestly.
Honestly, Austin
But no,
Powers.
I thought the exact same thing, and I'm actually really happy because I know that, like, in the past when I'm watching these shows, when somebody has that kind of reaction, and like obviously, Drew having her issues, maybe she doesn't want to be around anybody to begin with. I would have thought, okay, she's making an excuse for not showing up. Like, she showed up, she's gonna have people come outside so she can say hi, and then she's gonna leave because she has beef with somebody, whatever. But you're right. As soon as it wasn't even, they didn't even start talking to him directly. He was just next
Nope.
to.
He was
I think
ready,
Sheree
man.
was talking, and he was right there, and he was ready to roll.
I think he went to
Immediately
that
turns
party
over,
with that in his head.
ready to start shit. So I think you're right. I think that it was premeditated. He knew that Drew was going to show up, so he was going to start shit as soon as she walked in. He didn't have the mentality of, oh, like maybe that was a misunderstanding, like whatever, we'll just move past it, or I'm going to ignore you. If you do have that issue, you just kind of like avoid somebody in a party and just try to not make them feel awkward. Maybe you don't want to feel awkward, whatever. But yes, he was absolutely the aggressor in all of this, which I fully agree with Kandi. So
That's
yeah,
what I
no,
think.
absolutely not. Now I do have an issue with Sheree not just hearing that and saying you need to calm the fuck down or leave.
I have an
She
issue with
takes his
Sheree
side.
inviting him. Period. She
Inviting
said,
him,
"Well, I'm still
inviting
cool
him.
with him."
Period.
It's like,
Yeah, she goes,
fuck
"I'm
that.
still cool with him because him and Martell were hanging out." I also don't really understand how Sheree's just like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool with him." So like, Drew's gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, no,
Like no.
if you're
If
but
that's
that's
new
the thing with
information,
Sheree, dude. Sheree is sneakier than not than we think. She's just sneaky. She does this shit. She tries to be the one that's going to take the whole group on this healing trip to
yeah,
Portugal, right? But in between, you read between the lines, she does sketchy shit. Like she sets people up. She says things. She airs out people's info in front of the group when you shouldn't. She's the one that brought up the lawsuit 5 times that
yep,
Drew's going through. You know what I mean? Like she leans on the crutch of I'm a good friend, but then does sketchy shit. And then she's
yep.
like, but I do all these nice things for people. It's like, no, but you can't throw a one-liner in there as you're doing it because it negates everything else.
Exactly. Yeah, it's I had a big issue with what Sheree was doing, and she just kind of downplayed it by saying, this is a big day. You're not going to ruin Mecca's day. Like this is everything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
We're not doing this. Like no, first off, it's your day. You've made it very clear that it's your day. Second off, just be a good friend. Maybe
Third,
talk to
it's your guest list.
yeah, it's your guest list. Maybe in that moment, talk to Anthony and just say, you know what, I want Drew to be able to come in here. Go away. Go
Go
somewhere else.
away,
If you start
take it
starting
down
shit,
a
we're
notch,
gonna have
knock it
security come over
off.
and kick you the fuck out. Like
Yep.
that's the approach. And then you know what? Then it's in Drew's court. Like, hey, talk to Anthony. Really sorry, completely forgot about the whole thing. They've been hanging out like he was invited. Blah blah blah. Whatever. If you still feel uncomfortable, you don't have to come in. But I did talk to him, and he's not going to start any shit.
Right.
Then you
Put it
give it
on
to
Drew.
Drew. And if Drew
Yeah.
doesn't want to come in, then that's fine. That's entirely her right to not come in. Nobody's going to blame her for that. It's shitty behavior by Sheree there.
Yep. Totally agree. But let's keep trucking. We got RHOC now, a little OC action. We've had a little bit of a break. I will say, and Dev texted me that this episode was lit, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm really not looking forward to watching it. And this is the second time in a row that I'm saying I didn't mind the episode. I had said that about the episode 2 weeks ago. This one was good, I thought, actually. I
I
thought
liked this. I
the
actually liked this
drama was
episode.
good. Yeah, there was a lot of we got deeper though. Like it got in
Exactly.
between the
That's the
lines.
thing.
Like Shannon wasn't able to deflect this time.
Yes, Shannon wasn't able to deflect. It wasn't just everybody kind of ganging up on her, which we never really like anyway.
No,
We
no, no.
got way deeper. We got an Emily that was upset because of her friendship with Shannon. We got, Gina's still doing Gina things, which is fine, whatever. We got more out of Jen, which was weird. It was more of a Jen episode that was kind of crazy to see. But yeah, kind of what you said, like the fact that we got deeper into it and there's people not showing up to parties. I don't really give a shit what Heather's doing. I mean, it's a really cool apartment. That's great. But that storyline of the entire episode was just meaningless to me. I really don't care. Like she's not part of this group
It was
at
filler.
all.
That was filler.
It was absolutely filler, but she is literally moving from the OC to LA. She
No,
is
she's
no
just
longer
seeing somebody else for a little while.
sure, yeah, whatever. She's not even at the parties. She's not involved. People are talking about her, but she's not on the phone with anybody. She's not FaceTiming anybody during all of this. Nobody's checking in with Heather. Heather's entire storyline this episode was, well, we're moving out of this house and we're moving into another one. That's
Well,
awesome.
she has the
That's
first
great.
talk with Shannon. That was it.
Yeah,
That
but
was it.
whatever. It's just stupid. Like
I agree. No,
that
I
part of
agree.
it's stupid. But yeah, I don't want to take away from the episode because I actually did enjoy the episode because we got more drama, we got more details, we got a lot of face to face action, we got some resolution here and there.
It
So
felt
it
real
kind of brought everything. It felt real. Now
for the
I
first
still
time all
don't feel a
season.
connection. I don't know if you
No,
do,
I
but
don't
I
care
still don't
about
feel a
any of
connection
these
with
people.
anybody. But it was from an entertainment standpoint, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, and that's what we want on franchises that we don't necessarily click or vibe with. We just want an entertaining episode. We will not like there's been franchises in the past that we haven't been like, "Oh, we fucking love this," but we can appreciate a good episode week to week. We hate OC,
Yeah.
but we will give it credit when it does a good job. This was a good episode. Continue this, and we might like the show more. But we start out, and Gina and Heather are FaceTiming. This is one of the few Heather interactions we get. But Heather's going to talk to Shannon and try to I don't understand, like, I guess get on the same page, but that's the thing with most of these women is they're never wrong. Nobody's wrong. Heather's not wrong, even though she was not a vault. You are talking about Shannon's shit elsewhere. but understandably so, because Shannon's talking about her shit with everybody everywhere.
Yep.
But nobody can be wrong, so they end up just yelling at each other, not getting along. Nobody's going to this goddamn party. In this FaceTime, Gina's like, I'm not going anymore because I don't like how she treated me. I don't like how she's talking. I'm not going. Heather's not going for the same reasons. But Heather and Shannon sit down to discuss things, and Heather once again has to say she's a vault. If you
Yep.
have to emphasize that you're a vault this many times, you are not a vault, period. And you haven't been. You really haven't been. You can go to the clips that I'm not saying Heather was the first one to air out Shannon's dirty laundry, but she has no issue talking about it with any of the other ladies. And we've seen that. But in this scene, she highlights the fact that Shannon is the one that is the driving force. She drinks and she calls people and she says everything. She airs out all of her shit. Every single woman in the group, Emily, Gina, Heather, they've all gotten these phone calls. They all have reason to worry about Shannon and John. When Shannon says, come to me with it, it's like, well, technically they have because you've discussed it with them. So for them to talk amongst themselves after they've all had the same conversation with you is what concerned friends do.
Yes.
They're worried about you.
Yeah, and that fully goes on Shannon for spilling that. And we kind of highlighted it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it. You can see that like worry in her face when Emily says, "Look, we had this full conversation." Shannon does not remember the conversation, but she
Nope.
knows that it probably happened. You can see
Yep.
that all happen in one split second on her face.
That
So-
scene takes away from her argument forever. By the way.
Forever. Yeah, by the way, for completely forever. And
Did
I
your
do
light just turn on
agree.
behind you?
What's that?
See
Oh
that
yeah,
you're
my light
recording?
just turned on. Yeah, it's on a timer.
Oh, that just scared the shit out of me. I was like, bro, you...
Hello? You're gonna
like
watch a
somebody
murder
there.
in real time. But no, I do fully agree, and this is kind of what we do when we try to take real aspects from these shows and we think about things like that. If any of your friends and you have like a close knit group of friends, if somebody's going through marital issues or family issues or whatever, yeah, maybe you'll go to one person to confide in, and that person isn't going to tell the rest of the friends because they don't know what's going on. I'm not going to tell you the entire story. So you confided in me. Let's just continue to have an open communication so that I make sure that you're okay. Once you start to talk to everybody else is going to get an indication like, oh, wow, you talked to Shannon too. You talked. Now, I'm not saying these women did this, but you put the pieces together and you realize you're all hearing the same stories.
Exactly.
Now you have a commonality. Now you're friends of another friend who's going through shit and you all know the same stories, or maybe you know a little bit something a little bit different, whatever. You're going to do that out of concern. That is what happens in every friend group. Now,
in good friend groups, yeah.
In good friend groups, yes. The caveat to this is I like Heather and Shannon aren't really good friends. So why the fuck
No.
does Heather know what's going on? It's just Shannon spilling the beans. The fault really does go fully back on Shannon. There's no other way. Like I do have an issue with Heather saying that she's a vault over and over again when clearly you're talking. We have film of you talking to other people, but this wouldn't be out there if Shannon wasn't doing the things that she's doing, where she's just getting drunk and calling people and telling them all of the issues and telling them about fights that she had. Obviously, they're going to be concerned. I don't think Heather's talking to other people out of concern. I think she likes to gossip. But Gina, I feel like, commiserates a little bit with it. She had an issue with like her past relationships.
A little bit,
she understands where it goes from. But when you're going to come after her, then she's going to have issues with that. Emily's the same way. She's actually concerned about what Shannon's going through. Who are you
Emily
going
is
to talk
the
to?
most concerned.
The most
She's
concerned.
Genuinely concerned.
And that's the thing. When Shannon sits there with Emily and yells at her and says, "You got to come to me about it." Emily, Shannon, I did come to you. We've had this discussion a bunch of times. What do you want me to do? You're not doing anything about it. I'm talking to somebody else who knows what's going on. And we're, as concerned friends, trying to figure it out. So all of the blame goes back on Shannon. I really don't have any issues when she's being outlandish and going back at them. I have no issues with them not going to the party. Obviously, there's filming issues to come into question, but I don't have any issues with them not going to the party because Shannon has not shown any remorse for going after you, and she's not going
taking
to.
zero accountability.
And she wants you to come to her to apologize, which if you're not going to do that, then don't do it.
But it's just confusing because like her FaceTime with Emily too, and Emily finally gets fed up and just drops the Jekyll and Hyde comment, and she's like so upset about it. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you'd say that." But if you look at her demeanor before that comment is even made, she's like a hurt puppy. She's like everyone. She says the words incredibly hurt 16 times this episode. I was just incredibly hurt. because my friends are doing this and that, my blah, 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 victim, victim, victim. It's like, dude, you made this bed. You talk about this shit. And you don't want to. And then it all snapped into focus for me because she goes storming off the set and she's trying to take her mic off and she's talking to cameras behind the scene as though it's not going to be put on TV. And she finally says, like, what the issues are. John's kid doesn't like her. Big fucking problem. Is there enough money between the two of them? Big fucking problem. And the third one is, which was it? It was, does he have enough time for me?
Yep.
Those are serious things. Those are also things that you confide. Clearly, you confided in your friends about it. And I believe all of them. I don't believe you. Your issue with this whole thing is that they're concerned and they're talking about it because you talk about it because you are Jekyll and Hyde. You get drunk, you call them, and you tell them all these things. When multiple people say literally the interaction on FaceTime with Emily and Shannon was the same as the conversation that Heather and Shannon had. If two different people are doing that with the same common denominator, who's at fault? Fucking Shannon.
Yes, 1,000%. And her being incredibly hurt does not change any of that.
No.
Because you wouldn't be incredibly hurt if you didn't do this. So
but you're
really
just playing that card because you want fake sympathy from people and you want the audience to hear your story and be like, oh, they do need to stop talking shit about you, Shannon.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they're trying to help you. You're being an idiot.
Yeah, and at the core of the entire issue with the relationship, you have to imagine she's afraid of ending the relationship because she doesn't want to be alone, or she's afraid of John. I mean, that scene on the boat when she's talking about, like, are you creating waves? And he freaks out and says, do you see any wake? Like, no. Clearly she shuts down and can't talk anymore. And she says, no, this is going to be bad. Like, no.
This is not fun. But I don't know. In that interaction, I don't know who's worse there because Shannon's overreacting to the wake thing and John's being dismissive.
So they don't belong together. That's the end of it all. So
there's just problems.
I think she's just afraid of being alone. I can't speak on John's motives. We don't get enough out of him. She's probably just afraid of being alone and losing John because she has some sort of sense of security with him, even though it's miserable half of the time. So
we get conflicting reports. She says he doesn't want to be on camera. Heather and the crew says that he loves the limelight. So
yeah, I just have no idea what to even think there. It's just the whole thing's a clusterfuck. And the fact that she's getting mad that her friends are concerned and talking about it is wild.
Yeah. Would you rather them not check in and just, if you're having paralyzing arguments, Shannon, you're not supposed to feel paralyzed ever in a relationship.
No. Yeah. Ever. And that's also not a bad, I don't talk about cheating. I don't talk about adultery. I just have really paralyzing, or abuse. I just have really, really paralyzing arguments. What?
Yeah.
That sounds like abuse.
That sounds like a really bad thing and maybe not a great situation. Like, fuck, yeah, that would be crazy. Concerning. If you said that to me, if you, my friend, said that to me, I'd be genuinely concerned. I'd be like, fuck, I turn that we need to get to the bottom of this. I know, I saw.
Okay, all right.
But let's get to the Fiesta. It's National Taco Day, so Shannon's party is Fiesta themed, and we get Senor Noodles, and he is on the plancha. He's making the food look great. The tacos look great. Bravo, Senor Noodles. I texted you because I know you have an issue with people freestyling. You're not a big fan, but I texted you and said, "What'd you think of Senor Noodles freestyle?" And
I had no issues. No, I didn't say I liked it. I had no issues with it.
Why?
I do.
Why was that one okay?
I want to know.
I want to know what dictates a good freestyle versus an unacceptable one.
Two critical factors. One, funny ass name, Senor Noodles, sick name. Love that shit. Two, it was on TV. It was not in front of me. If it happens in front of me and I'm there, I get very uncomfortable and I will walk away.
That's okay. So
those are the two deciding factors for me. Yeah,
okay, that's fair.
Look, if we're watching 8 Mile and we're watching, I mean, those are good freestyles. We got Rabbit, great name. So there's things that go into it. So it's on TV. I'm not like in the moment. I'm not there.
Oh, you're comparing Senor Noodles to Eminem from 8 Mile?
Yes, I am actually.
I'd love to see that rap battle. But at this dinner, we get a little bit of John and we get a little bit of Ryan. And I will say, I like Jen. I like Jen. I like what she does with her children. I like that we are able to be a fly on the wall for her conversations with her adopted son.
Yep.
I think it's incredibly progressive. I think it's very positive to talk to him that way. Like, it was just a very, very beautiful scene to see her interact with the kids. And she always has a good relationship and good scenes with her family. And I appreciate that. I do not like Ryan. I think he's gross and I think that he's setting her up. But in this scene, you get John and Ryan. And between the two of them, one, John says, he emphasizes our relationship's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's like, okay, John, not the time. And then somebody makes a joke. Eddie, he's like, are you having sex with other people? And Ryan stands up and goes, that's me. It's like, dude, stop. You're not at the point yet to make this a funny joke because you are still in question, sir. People are still concerned that you actually are having sex with other people.
Yes.
John, people are still concerned that you're an asshole behind closed doors. So, hey, guys, don't hurt your own story by speaking up and being funny here because it's one of those jokes where it's like, ha ha, he's serious though, right?
Yeah,
He's totally serious,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, and I thought the best part about the whole party, Tamara didn't annoy me. There was no
She
issue with
didn't
Tamara.
annoy me until she threw his water gun.
I didn't really give a shit about
Why
that. But
though? That made me
whatever.
mad. It's you know how
Oh, okay.
expensive those big ass water guns are?
No, I
I'm
actually
not
have no
kidding.
idea.
They're like $100.
Wow.
And so for Senor Noodles, who is, you know, his own business, I'm assuming, who buys all of his own stuff, buys a tequila shotgun, and then some drunk little blonde lady chucks it across like the parking lot, I would have a problem with that.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of fair.
I'm
But
also nitpicking because I hate Tamara, but
I
that's
know.
irrelevant.
I honestly, it's she just hasn't been a presence in these last couple of episodes, and
I'm okay with that.
lo and behold, we've enjoyed these last couple
Oh, that's an
episodes.
interesting
Like,
point.
it's
That's a really
yeah,
good
I know.
point.
It's just maybe she kind of figured it out. Maybe she tired
No,
herself out in the first couple
stop
of
it.
episodes.
Stop it. Don't give her any credit. Shut up. We're moving on. I'm not continuing this farce, this ridiculous conversation with
Tamara's
you.
being great. I love
Stop
two
it.
T's in a pod.
Ugh. The next thing I want to talk about is Shannon once again. And this is where Shannon does herself no favors. We have heard her discuss Jen. We've heard her discuss Gina. And once again, we have her talking about Gina and Travis. For all intents and purposes, Gina and Travis are fine. We've seen
Yep.
them interact. They seemed fine. We've had multiple discussions from Heather. Now we're having Shannon chime in about Gina discussing her previous marriage with Travis. Now, if you do not know the dynamic of Travis and Gina, which they clearly do not because Gina and Travis are now married and doing fine, don't comment on it. If that's her person to go to with her issues with her marriage and he's cool with it as an accepting partner should be, is there a limit? Like, could he get frustrated sometimes? Maybe. Maybe you'll be like, hey, I don't like, you keep talking about him. But even then, I can't see a scenario in which if Dev came to me about an ex and had a big issue and needed to work through it, where I'd be like, dude, come on, we're not talking about that. Like, that's you. You're my significant other. I deserve, or you deserve, to be able to sit there and discuss any issues you're having with me so we can
Yes.
have an open, honest relationship. So I get really weird when people talk about that stuff. I don't understand why that's their
Well,
place
I
to
think
comment.
the comment that really sent me over the edge was Shannon saying, "If I went to John and was talking about my
David Bedore.
if I went to John and I was talking about David Bedore, he would have so many issues with that." I
That's a
think that says
problem.
more about your relationship with John than it does about anything else. You were
100%.
and, like, I think that's just, like, where her mind is. It's been twisted into this, I can't talk to John about these types of things, so that
Oh,
means that all relationships are like that. That's just how it works. And look,
that's a
I
good point.
understand that, and I'm sure a lot of people kinda get like that in relationships, especially good like, toxic relationships. You get to a point where you feel like, "Oh, I can't do this with my significant other." Maybe that's just how relationships are, and I'm asking too much out of this person. So
That's
that
a really
way,
good point.
I understand what all relationships are supposed to be like. So how dare you go to Travis and talk about your ex all the time? He's gonna kick you out the door. No, he's not. It sounds like he's a really loving spouse. They got married recently, so it sounds like he's a really loving husband, and he's supporting his wife. He's supporting his significant other. What do you take away from that? Well, that's a bad relationship. No,
No,
that's a
that's a
really
good
good
one. Yeah, and
relationship.
you are in
You're
no
in a
place to
shitty one.
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
You can't
sitting
even
there
talk
and
about waves in a lake without getting yelled at. So what are you gonna
right,
do?
and but she goes on to start talking about once again, she always has to bring up the fact that she helped Gina get out of a DUI or helped her through the process of getting a DUI, but on national TV, she has to bring up Gina and Child Protective Services in the same sentence, and
Yep.
that is so fucked up. Like, we know she got a DUI. Allegedly, she was gonna get arrested at, like, 8 in the morning, and she was with her children at the time. and says they would have been taken by Child Protective Services.
Did
What
you
you're
see
doing?
that cop, by the way?
Yeah.
Was in the
Like,
interview room? That was what he pulled a fucking dipsy do on her. Was that
I
because
know.
of the cameras? He was like, "Yeah, you know, there's a warrant out for your arrest, so like we can go over and arrest you, but we're not going to do that right now." Like, what the fuck
Psych.
was that?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't
why
know.
did he do that?
Maybe Shannon pulled some strings as she claimed to have done with the the DA. I don't know, but like for you to paint this picture, that's all that matters is what you're
Uh-huh.
saying. The sentence that comes out of your mouth just by saying Gina and Child Protective Services in the same sentence, you call into question her ability to be a mother, the safety of her children because she made a mistake.
Yep.
She did not say that she was doing wheelies and donuts in the parking lot hammered with her kids in the back. They said that at 8 in the morning the following day they were going to arrest her. That's a very different story. What you're painting is a story of a dangerous alcoholic mother that doesn't take care of her kids. And that's
Yes.
exactly how Gina takes it later, as any mother would. How could you call into question the safety of my children, my ability as a mom, because you're having a beef with me? That's too low. What's rule number one?
Keep the kids out of it?
Keep the kids out of it. Thank you. It
Yeah,
took you way
okay.
too long, but
I thought it was a rhetorical question.
rhetorical question, Farley. No. Um, but that scene really pissed me off. But they move on from there, and we get Heather's look. The apartment's gorgeous. Is it a little gaudy? Sure, but it is in keeping with who Heather Dubrow is. It's very tastefully done for the most part. I think the initials of the designer on the tables and shit is dumb as shit. I would be livid if I spent that much money and there was a curly Q like JD or whatever the fuck his name is in my table. I don't need to see your name, buddy. I don't need to see it. It's like, put it this way, like Lamborghini doesn't have to do commercials. You know what I'm saying? You don't
No,
have to
they
put Lambos
don't.
on
But
TV.
like, if you had, I mean, if Gucci had done your dining room table, Gucci did your whole apartment, and there was a Gucci sign on the dining room table, would you be pissed off about that?
I would think that was the
Yeah, I
tackiest
know,
fucking
maybe
table in
not
the
you.
world.
Yeah, I'm asking the wrong person. I mean, I would probably do the same thing. But like in general, it's just brand names, and that's just you're either a brand name person or you're not, or you're a person that really appreciates brand names because they do make finer things, but you just try to hide the label a little bit more.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Look,
there's a lot of different caveats to this type
it's a
of thing.
beautiful
Heather,
apartment.
it
It's a
is. It's a
beautiful
beautiful
apartment.
apartment. I liked the apartment a lot.
I love that the
Um,
son's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring back some strange.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm excited to move over here. I'm gonna bring
But I
back some
also
girls.
like here's the thing with Heather, like her interactions when she's not with the group, when she's with her family, she's not bad. I like
She's
that she
not.
like she has a good
I
rapport with
don't
her
know,
kids.
honestly. I
Like the
think if
kid
you
makes the
take
joke and she's like, la la la, don't tell me, like, please don't use my bedroom. Like, that's funny. And that's a normal, like you're normal in that moment. I like that.
it,
That was
it kind of puts my brain through a bit of a loop too, because we love the scenes with family because we can kind of connect on a deeper level with these women. I wonder if Heather was just like maybe in a different setting, maybe with different housewives or whatever. Maybe we would like her more. I don't know.
oh, if you
I
made a
just think,
move, if
yeah, I
she
think
went to Beverly Hills, which
if she
might
went
be
to,
happening.
I don't know. I think that some people and
I
like, look,
only say it
I
might be
know,
happening because it's in LA. We haven't heard
yeah,
anything
yeah, we
before
have no
people are like,
fucking
oh, the
idea.
Broth Bros said.
Yeah, no, we didn't say anything. No, I honestly, I kind of go between it a lot. I think, and I know Heather's been around forever. I just think that maybe she's not good at her job. Like, I think that she's
Oh,
fine. I think she's like, that's an indication. Like during the family scenes, we like that. We enjoy
you
that.
think she's phoning it in at this point?
Yeah, maybe she's phoning it in. Like, I didn't watch a lot of like the past seasons with her or anything. So maybe she was better before. Maybe she's phoning it in now. Maybe she is making a move. Who the hell knows? But the main component of these shows is how do you interact with these other women? And in general, pretty much across the board, there's not a lot to write home about with any of these women. They're just the scenes with all of them together haven't hit. This episode, like I said, it's been a lot better. Like this, there was a lot of actual good, palpable drama that we were sort of invested in. There's just not a lot else there, so it could just be a dying show in general, and maybe everybody's just phoning it in for this, for that matter. But I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on
A
Heather a
lot of
lot.
people are liking this season, so I don't know. I mean, the last 2 episodes have been better. This one was definitely my favorite one in a long time. The last scene is just Emily and Shannon talking, and again, Shannon says, "I'm incredibly hurt." Emily apologizes. Shannon does not. At no point does she say that she is sorry. She instead throws out, people are talking about info on John about cheating and abuse and drug use. It's like, whoa, I haven't heard that. I've heard that there's some bad things going on behind the scenes, but I haven't heard that. Like,
yeah, we went from we have really bad arguments and that's it, and I'm paralyzed from the arguments to drugs and cheating. Like,
yeah,
okay,
what?
where'd that come
That's
from?
the first I'm hearing that. Like, are people alluding to worse things? Yeah, but you're the one that labeled it.
Yeah,
I just the lack of accountability from Shannon every time, the lack of an apology, the fact that she's always the victim, the fact that she can't look at these situations and understand where she went wrong and maybe have a little bit of a tiff with her friends because yeah, they are talking behind your back technically, but it's all in support of you. No one's sitting there going, Shannon's miserable, her relationship sucks. Like, fuck her. They're going, is Shannon good? Because she doesn't seem good and John seems sketchy. That's a good friend. I don't understand what more
yeah,
you
but
want. And to me, that just tells you.
it's slowly turning into Shannon sucks and Shannon's a bitch. Like, this is what's going on now because of what she's doing. If you went about it a different way and you actually accepted the concern from your friends, then this would continue and they're going to continue to check in on you. But instead, you're being aggressive
They're checking
and
out.
yeah, they're checking out. And they're also saying that you're an asshole because of the way
But
that you're
even in
reacting to these
this,
things. Like, you're going to
even
lose
in
friends
this,
over it and you're going to lose all the people that are actually concerned that might be able to help you out of a bad relationship. Instead, you're choosing the bad relationship, which again, I'm sure happens all the time and it's really fucking sad, but we're getting to watch this on TV and it's rough. It's just
it's
not
really
it's not
rough.
enjoyable to watch. But you know what? I guess it is real.
Yeah, but even at the end of that conversation, Emily still wants to move on. Shannon has taken no accountability, did not apologize, didn't acknowledge her role in it. Does not ever want if she was able to at least say at one point, like, maybe I need to stop talking about it if I don't want them to talk about it. That's one thing. But she just wants other people to take her side and say that they wronged her. And it just I
Yeah.
can't stand people like that. It doesn't compute.
I I
Own
don't
up
know.
to your shit.
It's just I mean, it's kind of sad because you get to see Emily and she's like, "Look, I just want to move
Emily's
past this."
genuinely upset.
I know, and Emily just wants to move past it, and I think that's in real time watching Emily kind of rationalize the whole thing. Like, we're not going to be able to get a whole lot of actual emotion out of Shannon. She's just backing it, and you're watching your friend in real time just go back to their terrible toxic relationship. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, that's actually pretty sad. And I feel bad for like this is obviously reaction stuff aside. Feel bad for Shannon. Like, Shannon's clearly in a really bad relationship, and she doesn't know what to do about it. She's
Yep.
stuck. She is stuck in there and she's supporting a person who's not supporting her. And you can see that happen. You're watching Emily, probably her closest friend on the show. Have to
They aren't
watch.
actually that close. 'Cause
I don't
we don't have a
know.
lot of
Are any
background
of
on
them?
OC.
Is
I
anybody
don't know.
close in these shows? I have
I
no
don't know,
idea.
but she seems the most concerned about it, but I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, how close they actually were, but I don't know. We can't have that many more episodes left, but,
Who
we'll
knows?
get there. We'll get there, but, that takes us to the questions, and I got them queued up already, so let's,
Let's go.
dive right in. Dive right in. From Audrey Fugate. I've done that name before. I definitely
Yes,
have.
you have.
Are we going to get an episode that Shannon doesn't walk out of? Maybe
Uh,
not.
Probably not. I'm gonna assume
I
not.
don't think so.
Yeah,
Unless
I don't
she's
think we will.
like ever ready and willing to acknowledge her relationship and doesn't get mad at people for questioning her relationship. No, I don't think so.
No, probably not.
From Kat Bayless, breaking the fourth wall is becoming more common. Do you like that for the show? I do. Yes.
I do. I mean, we got a double up like consecutive or I guess at the same time, whatever, fourth wall break today in OC. So
Yep.
that was interesting to see. I mean, I like it to an extent. I don't want them to overdo it though. When it's
No,
necessary, I
because then
like
it
when it
takes away
happens.
from what's happening on screen, like the
Yes,
actual
exactly.
show. If it keeps being wildly different, breaking the fourth wall, then it becomes more and more evident that what we're getting during the show is not real, and that's a
Yes.
bummer. Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. Let's see. Let's do two more, guys. Two more. From Happy just now, at what point do we step in, wheeze in quotes, do we step into an abusive relationship on Housewives? Not speculating to Shannon, just in general. And that's an interesting question for where Bravo is as a network right now because they're facing some scrutiny from Bethany Frankel and apparently some of the other Bravo personnel have signed on to that lawsuit or attempt at a lawsuit. I think that they're going to have to be more aware of things moving forward. I think they are going to have to start stepping in. I think that the drama and that horrible situation on Below Deck is going to highlight that as well.
Yep.
And the fact that they did step in there was amazing. The crew stepped in to help out. But yeah, I don't think that any viewer wants to see abuse on TV. I don't think any viewer wants to see anything of that nature, whether it's domestic abuse, whether it's sexual assault. Like, that's not for TV. That's not for life. That's not for any situation. So, yes, I think that they need to be more conscious of what's going on and make more of an effort to help these people out when they need it. Because at the end of the day, and we get more of this than our audience because we interact with some of these guys, some of these people. And when you talk to Bravo Lebs off the camera, they are people. They're 100% people with issues and problems and real lives. And when you get that side of them, yeah, like people need to look out for them. Bravo is a network. When shit gets really hairy, doesn't make for good TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's something that puts them in danger, then absolutely not. Absolutely not. Step in, do something about it. So I think they should start being more aware.
Yeah, I agree.
And the last question from Michelle Ann Locke: is she nuts regarding Shannon? I don't think Shannon's nuts. I think she's in a bad relationship.
Yeah, I think she's in a bad relationship, and we're watching that. And it's like I said, it's tough to watch.
It is. And we actually sympathize with her because I don't think her responses are who she is. I think she's defensive, which we see a lot of people in bad relationships. When you are in a bad relationship, you get defensive of your significant other. It's second nature. So I think that's what we're seeing. No, I don't think she's nuts.
Nope.
But you got anything else?
I'm good.
Well, remember to follow us on our socials at Bravo_Bros. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please click that subscribe button. Even if you don't YouTube a lot, it helps us out a lot. At Bravo Bros Podcast is our YouTube channel. Other than that, just keep an eye out for the bros. We got things cooking, things in the works. And we're very excited about some of the things in the works. So stay tuned to our socials, keep up with us. But shoots, enjoy your vacation. I'm sure I'll see way too much of you in the next 11 days.
Maybe not.
That's
what do you think? I'm just gonna come over and just like post up in your back room, just hang out.
Yeah. I could definitely see you coming over and just posting up and hanging out. That doesn't seem like
dog,
ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll play with the dog.
You'll play with my dog. That's so sweet. But that's all we got. I'm going to go enjoy dinner with my wife and my in-laws down the shore. We're in Wildwood.
Where are you going to dinner?
Vacay. Oh fuck, the dock.
Okay,
is that right?
That's a good spot. Yeah,
the dock. Yeah, we're going to the dock. I believe. Like that could have changed. I've been locked in a bedroom for an hour and a half talking to your stupid face, so I don't know. Heyo, bros are out of here.
Bye.
Later's on the Menjay.